evening. Welcome to the Clifton Town Board meeting of February 16th. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Teresa, if you will call the roll.
Councilwoman Flood? Here. Councilwoman Sandra? Here. Councilman Morelli?
Here.
Councilwoman Holloway? Here. Supervisor Barrett?
Here, Councilman Morelli is joining us via the phone this evening. Also have a couple of town board minutes to consider, February 1st and February 8th.
So moved.
By Ms. Holloway, second by Mrs. Flood. Discussion. Okay, Teresa.
Councilwoman Flood? Yes. Councilwoman Sandra?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Holloway? Yeah. Supervisor Barrett?
Yes. Communications and announcements. Any takers this evening?
I do have.
Yes, please.
So I just wrote down a couple of notes because I just really wanted to thank Dan Bull and Mike Trader and the entire highway department. I had the opportunity to observe a salt run yesterday, and I did learn a ton about I knew nothing about getting in a plow or salt runs or how it works, and it was fascinating. I learned a ton about how they all work together, and it's definitely not an easy job. They encounter a lot of things that you might not think about, and they make many decisions throughout the day, and safety is number one priority. So I was really happy to see that. And they definitely take pride in their work and take pride in taking care of the equipment. And I think the taxpayers can be proud of these gentlemen. That they really do a great job. I was really impressed with the level of expertise they had, the dedication and the hard work that they put in every day. And also to, the buildings and grounds too, because I know this isn't easy weather to work in. I know they plow other lots too. So just kudos to them all.
Yeah, and whenever there's changing forecasts, which happens a lot, or what actually occurs during the day or evening's weather is different from the forecast, and there's a lot of alternative options and contingency plans that need to be implemented. In this case, I think the expectation was more snow than ice. But a lot more ice, I think, than we expected. So that changes things dramatically. Because obviously there's a little bit of a different response to ice than there is snow. How you spread salt, plow, so on and so forth. So yeah, it's always difficult to gauge that. But, they do the best they can. Despite the ice we received, the roads were in very good shape this morning. Came in usual early time and had no issues at all. So I think they did a good job with the roads last night and this morning. So hopefully, and I know there's some more weather on the way.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too much, but we'll see. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Yeah, and the cost is also a factor. It's been a busy 2021 for them, and with the diesel gas prices have shot up, and also material costs have climbed, will continue to climb. We'll see what effect all that has on the paving season. With oil prices now over $60 a barrel, an increase there could further increase material costs, paving costs, in general, daily expenses of running a fleet of trucks. So those are all expenses that this town and every other municipality and organization will need to manage. Because I don't foresee that trend stopping anytime soon. I think once hopefully the economy does turn sharply when more and more vaccine is distributed. And, that alone could account for another sharp increase energy prices later this year. So we'll just have to watch that part of it and manage it best we can. All right. Well, if there's no further communications or announcements, we'll go to resolutions. Teresa.
A resolution awarding the contract for transfer station solid waste disposal, whereas the town published bid documents for the renewal of the solid waste disposal contract for the transfer station on January 15th, 2021, and whereas bids were opened on February 3rd, 2021, and whereas Twin Bridges Waste and Recycling submitted the lowest responsive proposal, which includes a unit price of $72.50 per ton. Now therefore be it resolved that the bid of Twin Bridges for residential waste hauling at the town Clifton Park transfer station is accepted. A resolution extending the hours of the convenience transfer station for the annual spring cleanup, greenup, and the fall cleanup weeks. Whereas a request has been made by Daniel Clemens, Director of Buildings, Parks, and Recreation, for authorization to extend the hours of the convenience transfer station for the annual spring cleanup, greenup week to include Sundays, April 25th and May 2nd of 2021. Whereas Mr. Clemens has also requested that the transfer station be open on Sundays, October 24th and 31st, and November 7th and 14th between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. for fall cleanup of leaves and brush only. Now therefore be it resolved that Daniel Clemens, Director of Buildings, Parks, and Recreation, is hereby authorized to extend the hours of the convenience transfer station for the annual cleanup, greenup week and the annual fall cleanup week to include Sundays as noted above, with the extended hours to be as set forth in the attached Schedule A, and be it further resolved that the Sunday hours will be for collection of leaves and brush only, while all other items will be taken during the regular hours from Tuesday through Saturday. A resolution adjusting the bulk item fee schedule for the transfer station. Whereas by local law number 2 of 2020, section 97(3)(e) of the town code authorizes the town board to make adjustments to the published and posted fee schedule for the disposal of individual bulk items by resolution. And whereas Daniel Clemens, Director of Buildings, Parks, and Recreation, has proposed adjustments to the bulk item fee schedule attached. Now therefore be it resolved that the bulk item fee schedule is amended as attached, and that the transfer station and town clerk are authorized to publish the attached schedule for bulk items. Resolution extending intermunicipal agreements between the city of Mechanicsville and the town of Clifton Park and the town of Half Moon and the town of Clifton Park for the provisions of animal control services. Whereas pursuant to section 119.0 of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York, the parties are authorized to enter into binding agreements for the cooperative performance of various municipal projects, contracts, and functions. And whereas local governments recognize the benefit to each of the involved municipalities that arise from the cooperative provision of services to their residents. And whereas resolution number 15 of 2014 authorized an agreement between the town of Half Moon and the town of Clifton Park for shared services in the area of animal control. And whereas Clifton Park and Mechanicsville also entered into such agreement in 2020, whereby Clifton Park will provide on-call and sick vacation coverage for the prospective animal control departments. And whereas Clifton Park has the personnel and equipment to provide on-call and sick vacation coverage for the Half Moon and Mechanicsville animal control departments. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the adoption of an intermunicipal agreement between the city of Mechanicsville and the town of Clifton Park for the provision of animal control services per the attached agreement through December 31st, 2021. And be it further resolved that the town board approves the adoption of an intermunicipal agreement between the town of Half Moon and the town of Clifton Park for the provision of animal control services per the attached agreement through December 31st, 2021. A resolution authorizing a change order to add reinforced decking to the existing contract for a portion of the roof replacement project at Town Hall. Whereas by resolution number 139 of 2020, the town board authorized roof replacement projects at Town Hall and the Clifton Park Adult Community Center. And whereas Midstate Industries Limited has submitted a change order for the project in the amount of $10,705.14. And whereas Barton and Lajunas recommended that the town authorize the change order after the need for additional reinforcements for the roof structures and weatherproof backer boards became apparent after the old roofing was removed. Now therefore be it resolved that a change order adding $10,705.14 to the contract price for the roof replacement project at Town Hall is approved, and Daniel Clemens, Director of Buildings, Parks and Recreation, is authorized to accept the attached proposal by Mid-State Industries at the cost not to exceed $10,705.14. The funds to come from General Fund Town Hall Operations Equipment.
All right, very good. Thank you, Teresa. Are there any questions on the resolution? If you could read the headings, please.
Resolution number 43 of 2021, a resolution awarding the contract for transfer station solid waste disposal.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Wallowit. We did put this out to bid. It does lock in a price for 2 years, which I think is a good move at this point. As I mentioned, with the increase in energy prices and other material costs that are rising. While we're on this subject, just to give everybody a quick update, I was just looking at some historical numbers last week and where we stood in 2015 for permits. At that time, we had 2,217 regular permits, 1,673 senior permits. At the end of last year, we were down to 1,574 regular permits and 1,883 senior permits. So the trend continues where we see a decrease in regular permits and a smaller increase than the drop in regulars on the senior side. So it's continuing that trend where, we're losing regular permit holders. Some permit holders are aging into the senior category. And and typically senior households will have less household garbage to dispose of. But overall, that not a good trend as far as number of permits. We continue to market as we can, and we'll even amp that up a little further. The availability of the transfer station as a place to dispose of bulk items, construction debris. Those types of facilities are few and far between. I know some of the garbage companies have transfer stations where you can drop some of these items, such as the construction debris, bulk items, but they have minimums, and in general, their fee structure is more expensive than ours. We're outfitted to serve people in that are looking to have a place where they can conveniently and for a reasonable price dispose of those items. So I think we're better equipped than I think even they are to provide customer service and reasonable prices. So I think that'll continue to be a growing part of the amount of refuse that we're collecting at the transfer station. Those items, construction debris, bulk items, are not covered within the permit. So if you're a permit holder and you want to dispose of those things, maybe you're remodeling a kitchen or have some old furniture that you want to dispose of that maybe isn't able to be donated to the restore section that we have at the transfer station. You pay extra for those items. And we also allow people that don't have a permit for household garbage to dispose of construction debris and bulk items. Again, it's an opportunity, I think, for us to not only offer a great service conveniently, but derive some additional revenue for the transfer station. Again, separate from the permit system. The other thing we started to do was brought to my attention that we had a large number of pallets, wooden pallets down at transfer station. And, you know, there's a lot of people that like to use pallets. They like to use them for firewood or storage, whatever the case may be, but many people find them very handy and useful, particularly this time of year if you have a wood stove or have fires outside. And so instead of getting to the point where we would be throwing away a large number of these pallets, I asked Buildings and Grounds to put up a sign as you enter the transfer station on the guard shack that says pallets, leave one, take one, and they came up with that, which I thought was pretty. And just asked them to make the stack of pallets visible so people can see them. And since that time, they've been going quickly, which is good. So obviously, we don't want to get to the point where we would have to throw them away because we have to pay for that. So great job by Dan and the folks down at the transfer station to get that underway and get rid of those pallets. So Dan and I talked about additional ways to just get the word out that the transfer station does take these additional items. You don't need a permit. I think a lot of people just, if they're familiar with the transfer station, just figure, well, if I don't have a permit, I can't use it. But that's not the case. You know, the other part of that is the other free services that are available as part of the county recycling area. Just to remind everybody, refrigerators and stoves and dehumidifiers. These are all things that you can leave there. If it's a refrigerator, for instance, that has Freon, a contractor comes in and professionally removes the Freon, disposes of it as it is required by law. And that's all free, because all that eventually goes into the metal bin. Metal bin is a way for, is one part of the recycling area that has some value. So we do want to promote that as much as possible to derive some revenue on the metal side. Again, very few places you can just drive up and drop off the refrigerator or stove or whatever for free. Or throw a bicycle or a lawnmower in the metal bin, for free. So these are all services that people take advantage of. We've seen an increase in those areas, but I think as we see the permit trend continue, we need to do more to generate action in those areas. So we will be doing that. All right. Anything you want to add, Dan? No? All right.
Councilwoman Clark?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli? Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 44, 2021, a resolution extending the hours of the convenience transfer station for the annual spring cleanup, in the fall cleanup weeks.
So moved. Moved by Ms. Wallace, second by Mrs. Floyd. This is another great service we offer at the transfer station. It won't be long. Spring cleanup will be here.
Right around the corner.
Yeah. So what do you think here?
Yeah, this it's normal. So the routine is spring. You have 2 days. It's last Sunday in April, 1st in May, and then 4 in the fall. Obviously, fall cleanup's a lot bigger when the leaves come down. So there's 4 days in the fall we do it. And I spoke with Don McEwen. We kind of went over what spend the dates that they were the last couple of years, and kind of kept it the same. So this is just approving to extend those hours, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Those 6 Sundays in 2021.
Yeah, and just a reminder again for folks out there, you can utilize this for yard waste drop-off. You don't need a permit to do that either if you're a town resident. That's the only requirement there. This is a great opportunity to get started on cleaning up your yard and getting rid of as much stuff as possible. Very good. Any questions for Dan?
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli? Councilwoman Malowitz. Yes. Supervisor Barrett.
Yes.
Resolution number 45 of 2021, a resolution adjusting the bulk item fee schedule for the transfer station. So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Flood, second by Mrs. Standard. Periodically, we review the price schedule for the bulk items that I mentioned prior, just to assess where we are and how things are going. So I asked Dan to take a look at this and get together with Don McCune. And what's your update here, Dan?
Yeah, a lot of these things are kind of broken down, and so you see some increases, but we kind of, like, it used to be just a mattress was a flat rate. We kind of, well, we should have it separate from like a crib mattress to a king size. Obviously, they take up a lot more space and less space. We've broken down, so you see there's increases, but more of a breakdown. We added some things that weren't on the list. Some items went down because they were just aren't that big or that heavy the way they were set up. So we just went through every item and evaluated it, and I added some. Like I said, some went up, some went down. We came up with the pallet thing that you talked about earlier. Not charging at all for those still, but doing the take a pallet, leave a pallet deal. Tires are staying the same, and that's pretty much it. It was a very lengthy evaluation. We did really spend a lot of time on it and went back and forth and worked hard on getting these things kind of adjusted, make it more fair, really.
Yeah, and as I mentioned before, the pallets, they're on here. The recommendation is we don't charge to accept them based on what we're trying to do with the drop a pallet, take a pallet, because, some people will find them very useful. Is there, I didn't see, as we went over this, I didn't see anything that was, that jumped out at me. I think it is good, should we charge the same for a crib mattress as we do a king mattress? Probably not. So it's good to break out some of those categories, but overall, personally, I was comfortable with this lineup. And again, we want to be reasonable. We want to be able to attract people to dispose of their items in a convenient way.
Are these
Yeah.
the same fees if like a contractor pulls up with a truck full of stuff? Is it all the same for contractors too?
Yeah, we don't ask, are you a contractor? Are you a homeowner? It's basically, and again, you don't need a permit. A permit is only for garbage, household garbage. So you don't need a permit.
What does C&D mean on the list?
Construction and demolition.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's a construction debris. And the rest are basically just those bulk items I mentioned earlier. So, yeah, and like I said, we want to provide reasonable prices, and an incentive for people to bring their stuff to the transfer station. Now, the tires, we get charged to get rid of those. They get chipped. So we've had that relationship for a long time. So the tires we do charge, but get charged as well.
I have a question. Dan, the bags of trash, I know we've had the $3 for the non-permit holders as an option for people.
Yep.
Have we always had the bag of trash for the permit holders?
Yes.
For $1? We have?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That
Does
was
that
on
just
the
like go
schedule.
beyond their punch card or
Correct,
something?
that's correct.
When you go over how
Yeah.
many times you're allowed?
Yeah, 104
Got
bags.
it.
That's
104?
extremely
104,
rare.
yeah, the permit is
Okay.
104 punches, 104 bags, so, 2 a week.
Okay.
Once you go over that, you can pay, if you have a permit, it's less, just pay by the bag.
Extremely rare, but
Yes, it
it
is.
does happen. So instead of forcing somebody to buy another permit, it's probably very late in the year by the time they exhausted their punch cards. So that's a fair way to just get them through to the next permit. All right. If there's no No other questions, discussion? Teresa?
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stander?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli? Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Here.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 46 of 2021, a resolution extending intermunicipal agreements between the city of Mechanicsville and the town of Clifton Park and the town of Half Moon and the town of Clifton Park for the provision of animal control services.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Wallen, second by Mrs. Flood. We've now had these, well, at least the agreement with Half Moon, Mechanicsville came later. But we've had partnership with Half Moon in this regard for several years. It's worked very well. Has provided extra hours for our part-time folks, which they appreciate, and it's just worked very well for both towns. The expenses do increase each year because we do charge mileage per the federal rate, which increases each year. So that part of the agreement will change depending on that number. But in general, I would recommend we move forward and continue this relationship. I know Half Moon and Mechanicsville both appreciate it as well. And, you know, we have, I would say, best animal control department around. They do a great job, very, very professional. They can certainly handle it. And they will, well, everything goes in streaks, I guess. But we do run into some stretches of interesting cases. This is about that. And they've had an interesting stretch recently. And they do a really good job. All right. Any further discussion? Teresa?
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stander?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli? Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 47 of 2021, a resolution authorizing a change order to add reinforced decking to the existing contract for a portion of the roof replacement project at Town Hall. So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mrs. Flood. So the town hall roof has been done for a while. The senior center roof is partially done. They were back ordered on material for the main section of the roof. It's supposed to be in this week. I think the 15th was the date we were given. So we have not been notified of a new date at this point. So we need to follow up with them and see if they are. I mean, the weather could have. I assumed it was the weather, but I didn't see any action there Monday. And I didn't see any action there today. So anyway, I'll follow up with them. Dan, did you want to speak on this?
Yeah, sure. This is, there's two things involved with this change order. And they're both for things that you couldn't know were there until you actually rip everything apart and find it. So the reinforcement was there was a section of the building that they had presumed there was a concrete deck to put the new material on. When they got to it, it was not. It was just a one small layer of steel. So they had to reinforce the steel in order to take the weight of all the new material. So that's what the reinforcement part is. The other part is the backer board, kind of like right above here on this section and opposite over there. The new roof is modern, it's up to standard of today's insulation code, which I think you would know better. I think it's an R36 insulation factor. So it's a lot warmer in here, which a lot of people have already noticed that. But it's a lot higher. So they had to cut some of the sides of the wall of the building up in order to make room to build the insulation and then put the rubber roofing up on there. When they took that off, they found there was nothing but interior sheetrock on the exterior of the building, which was built in 1950. So they had to take that out, cut it, and put a waterproof backer board on there first before they could put the rubber roofing on. Otherwise, it would just rot right through. You'd have brand new roof leaking right through the side. So that's what it was. It's a two-part thing that they found. And there was no way to know about either of these until you actually did the job.
Yeah, and there was a concern that we might find even more issues because there's a roof on top of a roof. That those two items were found in the older section.
Correct.
As opposed to the newer section that came with the addition, and I say newer, it was back in the mid-90s, so it wasn't yesterday.
There's a 50s, a 70s, and a 90s phases of this building.
Yeah, so, the roof with having that additional layer, was difficult to know what exactly would be found until you started unpeeling the onion. So all in all, for what I was expecting on the worst side of things, this isn't too bad. Was there anything else? I don't remember anything else coming to light that was of a major issue.
No.
I mean, basically, there was all the necessary precautions were made. I thought they made very good time. A little noisy.
Yeah, they were at the generator right above your office for a week.
Sounded like they were coming through the roof a few times. But overall, I thought they did a good job. Hopefully, the senior center will be soon.
I hope so.
All right. Any questions for Dan?
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sanders?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli? Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes. Any other business to come before the board? Teresa, did you get any comments? No comments. Tony, Councilman Morelli, did you have anything?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Second by Mrs. Standard.
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli? Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, thank you.
Good night, Tony. And I